Well, today on Straight Talk, I'm with Bill Prosch, who's a business development advisor with Violand Management Associates, or VMA. Bill, welcome to the program. How are you?
I am doing very well, Jeff. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have an expert like yourself on Straight Talk to discuss business development and how companies can succeed. Before we get started, though, let's do some small talk. I believe you are in California.
I am in Sacramento, California. I spent most of my life in the mountains between Sacramento and Lake Tahoe. But about 3 years ago, my wife and I decided we needed to be a little more centrally located to our kids and moved to a community down here in Sacramento.
Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into coaching companies. I assume that's a term we could use, coaching.
That's a pretty good explanation of what it is we do at Violand. I actually started in the trades on a work experience program in high school back when Noah was building the ark. I wound up with a job out of that as I came out of high school. I went to college at night, and I was a floor covering installer and morphed into being a finished carpenter with that job. And I had that job for about 12 years. And then I, like a lot of people that work in the trades, I decided I could do it better than the boss and started my own company. And I actually had never cleaned a carpet in my life, but I had installed a ton of them. And I thought, well, if I can do all this high tech stuff as far as installing goes, cleaning can't be a tough thing to do. So the first carpet I cleaned, I got a really big education on how hard a work it really was. I went out and cleaned a living room and went back home and slept the rest of the day because I was exhausted. But along with the equipment package I bought, I got two of Dry-Ease's original old fiberglass fans and a residential Westinghouse dehumidifier. And I didn't know what I was going to do with them, but I found out that pretty soon that my skills as being a carpet installer and having something that could extract water and the equipment that could dry things out, that morphed into a business and morphed into a pretty good one over the years. I had that business for about 30 years.
You've been there and done that.
I have.
So your company evolved into carpet cleaning and restoration?
Yes, I started out as a floor covering installation company and cleaning. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, it's funny that I've always tried to figure out how we drew the parallel here, but it came down to the fact that if I could extract water, I could dry houses, and if I could dry houses, I could probably wipe smoke off of walls, and if I could wipe smoke off of walls, I could probably rebuild houses. And if I rebuilt houses, I could probably rebuild shopping centers. And so it's strange how the whole thing kind of morphed together. But my path, I didn't pick out. It kind of found me. Let's put it that way.
Well, Bill, I have to say, from what you described, you're a big thinker. So that's cool. Okay. Let's talk about big stuff. Let's talk about operations.
Okay.
And that's your expertise, operations with cleaning and restoration companies. What do you see across the board that companies need to do to improve their operations? Are there some highlights you can share with us?
What's so pervasive throughout small business is the fact that most people fly by the seat of their pants and they miss the first function of management, which is planning. And if there were a secondary thing that they're missing, it's the fifth function of management, which is control. And when we say control, I mean controlling back to that plan, we created a plan to say what we're going to do. Now we need to hold people accountable to that plan. We need to make sure that the things that we're doing are working, make adjustments as we need to. That, without a doubt, is the biggest thing that occurs. And a good example is the companies that do reconstruction, the ones that are successful, thoroughly understand scheduling and budgeting and remaining accountable to that schedule and those budgets. The ones that schedule by the seat of their pants have a bottom line that reflects that. And if we were to talk about a further part of that, though, Jeff, that really all starts with time planning. And a lot of people fail to recognize that planning their time is probably the most important thing they can do.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I agree. People need to stick to their plan. That they can be distracted. They can go off in different directions.
sure.
Let's talk about training and planning. What type of training opportunities to do these planning, to do successful planning, would you recommend they look
Okay,
at?
sure. I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but the first thing I would do, the thing that I say is probably paramount in my success over the years is actually having gone to a Franklin Planner course probably 30 years ago now, at the recommendation of a friend. Still use a Franklin Planner. And there's a reason for that. I went to an electronic system, and I wasn't disciplined enough to maintain the electronic system. Having to write it down takes a little bit of the lazy out of me. But whether people use a Franklin Planner, a bullet journal, Outlook, Google, I don't care, as long as they have a system to hold themselves accountable to a time plan. We do numerous classes at Violand Management, and we have time planning classes that Scott Tackett does. There's just tons of opportunities available there. And then as far as project management goes, we have classes available in project management, but there's also college degrees available now in specifically in restoration project management. There's all sorts of places to get educated in how to plan and how to actually truly fulfill what you've planned on.
Well, it's true that taking a class or workshop or getting an education is one thing. We need to implement
Correct.
what we learn.
Correct.
And your comments on planning are right on. I personally do use electronic planners,
Mm-hmm.
and I write things down that I need that are very important. So I guess I do both.
Sure. Well, to supplement that, Jeff, I still use Outlook for my calendar, but to make sure that I've actually done everything I committed to, or to make sure I don't have to remember anything, that's where the Franklin Planner comes in.
Yeah.
So I go through every day and list the tasks I have to do and prioritize those tasks. And I have a rule with myself that I cannot close out my day without acting on every single thing in my planner. So whether I delegate it, move it forward, eliminate it, or complete it, I have to do something with it before I call my day quits.
Of course, you want to mark it off if you can.
Yes. And I'm one of those sickos that will go in and think of something I did and write it in the list just so I can check it off. So.
Keeps us sane, I guess. Don't lose that planner. That's important to have. Hey, if you were to describe your perfect company, let's make one up. What would it look like? Coming out of the pandemic, healthy, what would it look like?
One of the things we have to recognize is coming out of the pandemic, normal's not going to be what normal was. And if you look back in history, use 9/11 as an example, there's going to be a pivot or a shift in the way things get done, just like there was back in 9/11. TSA didn't exist prior to 9/11. We didn't have to go through all the screening and the checkpoints and all the security issues. But that's a way of life for us now. I'm going to suggest to you that there are things we're going to learn out of this pandemic that are going to prepare us for the future. And the healthy companies that come out of this will be ones that, number one, understand that operating lean and being conservative with their spending, those are going to be the healthiest companies that come out of this. They'll come out okay. The other ones are going to be the ones that came out of it with possibly new revenue streams, a new understanding of how to make money in the future. And again, when you say the perfect company, if they came out of it learning to operate lean and protect their cash, those are going to be the perfect companies.
Mm-hmm. Lean, diverse, and have cash.
Correct.
All right. Well, Bill, this is great stuff. Good advice. And any cleaning and restoration company watching this could learn something and implement some of these points. So appreciate your time today.
Hey, it was a pleasure talking with you, Jeff.
See you at a trade show one day.
Yes, you will. One day.